So even though all the things that these individuals have done, their incessant BS, they're up and at it this morning, okay? And it was only quiet. I had the camera on mute for a reason because it's the strategy that I use to gauge the patterns and to pick up on the activity to see what's going to happen. So I go live, I pause to see if there's any shift. So the quiet was for me to do that. As I initially come on, they had already been up and at it, stomping around. Now, on a technicality for the bullshit BS bureaucracy purposes, during the morning, people could basically do construction, okay? Um, Technically, because they could be saying that they're moving or that they're purchasing, so technically during the morning hours, the disruptive noise is not something that could really be brought forth, okay? No matter what patterns you have, no matter how often it's been, the AM hours is not really something you can oppress, okay? Thought I'd say that for the bureaucracy purposes. But they have been up and at it with their consistent noise making. So that tells me a few things. As I've mentioned to you all before, most of these people are either on some kind of a drug. If they're not on drugs, they're utilizing things so that they can stay up all night and circulate, because I believe it's more than one person. So they stay up, whether this is drinking coffee, taking stay woke pills, or as I said, some of them are on, I believe, drugs, okay, in order to be able to keep with the consistency of spell work and making noise, as scheduled. So again, in spite of what took place yesterday, or should I say earlier this morning, okay, they were at it all day yesterday, from day to night, all night, okay? That's what they were up and at it. I worked diligently to basically ignore it. I kept frequencies on. Hold on. I'm gonna let you hear my son because this is their handiwork. And I'm gonna let you, the phone is not gonna pick up the acoustics. So again, this is, until we can get a microphone, okay, these systems, these phones, as well as these social media platforms, they're not designed to pick up subtle background noise, okay? So chances are, even as I go silent, you all aren't going to hear them. Okay? Well, maybe you'll hear it then. Well, maybe not. So let me just continue to focus on what I'm focusing on. In spite of everything, as I said yesterday, I was diligent to stay focused regardless to their incessant stuff that happened all day yesterday. Doing spell work, making disruptive noise all day, even through the quiet hours. Kept at it to provoke me enough, okay, to get me upset using my son. I said this on another video. Now, the stunt that they pulled is costly. Okay, the stunt, and when I say they, I'm saying the people that's doing the spell work and stomping and doing all this stuff. Now, the people upstairs don't care. I think there's some things have happened with them to such a magnitude that they really don't care. Some of them are in consequences, and I feel like they don't care. Something has happened to them to such a magnitude that they don't care about what's happening. They feel like, oh well. Okay. But when I say they, I mean all these people basically that's co-signing this person to do it. Because whoever is frequenting up there to do what they do, they have people, approval to do so. Otherwise, they wouldn't feel so comfortable in doing it. If they thought that they could get into any kind of trouble, or that maybe an authority figure, a manager, a law officer, a leader, if they really believe that, they can get into trouble for, this continual, the noise disruptiveness, but the other stuff, because these are people that have been caught stalking and that I've gotten proof of them doing that, and that the police never did anything about. Okay. However, at the confession of so-called somebody saying this person is walking around with a hammer, help us. At the confession of that, they were able to get a cop to pull me over. I should say pull me over because I wasn't walking, but to question me as if they could do that. Chances are the person who even did that is a part of this whole shenanigans, possibly the friend or the sibling, the relative, the homie of somebody that's in the unit above my son. That's number one. In a beat down, run down, homicidal looking kidnap motherfuckers type of event. Okay, that's who was planning. Okay, I got a reason to believe that because I initially saw them in one space and then all of a sudden they were in another space. So that was a plan. But back to what I'm saying. Even after that stunt, they still are doing violent occult rituals on my son. That is an adult disabled that, okay, well, Homeland Security, I'm not sure which of the U.S. branches actually, because there's such corruption. And I could share with you all something here, bear with me. Why I say it, for those that think that I'm some radical conspiracist theory. Okay, not so much. Here we go. You're fine. What I'm going to highlight is the fact that, as I've said, for the smartestons from Smartinsvilles out there that like to question folks like myself of what is so special about you? Gaslighting. Why would they do such a thing? The government has better things to do. We have legitimate things across the waters that they won't give us funding for. Why would they finance? There are things the world is not ready, especially the mass majority of the world who's still in the old paradigm, or who, just and this is not meant to be a slight, it's just, I believe it's what they use to their advantage. They don't know. It's folklore. They're in an old paradigm. So they don't know that. And again, this is not all government. Okay, I am clear. I understand that not everybody's corrupt. That includes the government. Okay, not everybody is. Because not everybody is even allowed to know, even within that system. Not everybody is allowed to know. It's not something that's going to be in the catalog when you apply for the job. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, and what I'm saying should make crystal clear. It should make sense. Because if there's branches of misuse of something, everybody can't know that. Okay? Everybody can't know. It'll get out of control. And, it'll mess up a whole lot of things because there's decent folk. There's good folk. that's in these government branches. There's good folk in the military. I knew of some once upon a time. Okay? So not everybody is participating, being paid to, or taking part in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or have any knowledge. Okay? This is including even police. I'm not implying that they are all messed up. Some of them just are not in the loop and they don't know about it. It's a met for that. Okay? I'll start to share more on this. I was trying to get more information at it's not allowing. Okay, so let me cut that off. So now back to the point. In spite of, okay, like I said, these are people who are the occult practitioners. Not everybody that's a part of these programs are on the side. I mean, it's still considered a gang. It's still considered cult-like, but not everybody is practicing the occult side of it. Well, the individuals that's on the property, the certain ones that's on the property where my son resides and where I am, with him through the holidays, and actually I think maybe within a day or two we may not even be here. Yeah. And and that goes against the typical normal process. But when you have situations that are like this, that I'll be dealing with some people on the phone and in the background, or possibly making some moves, like going places and dealing with some stuff specifically, I'm going to be addressing this specifically today. I'm going to highlight everything that has taken place, including what happened earlier this morning with the police. And this is something I'm going to highlight and drive hard behind the scene today. Because, again, my attempts to handle it from a natural point and standpoint and deal with those things hasn't gotten anywhere. Which does not mean that the things that are happening aren't happening. They're upstairs as I speak, continuing. Okay? Yeah. So you all just saw for yourself that these are military tactics. So this is gonna poo-poo on all of those out there that make statements like, well, they're just making noise. They're just making noise. Sure, it's annoying. They're just making noise. There's no psychological warfare tactic element at all to it. This is why I advocate and tell folks, get educated for yourself. Be expansive. Start, and technology has gifted us with the ability to not have to go to a library and spend 8 hours on microfiche and searching through library catalogs to find information. We live in the information age where if you just give yourself 10 minutes of space to stop doom scrolling on social media and utilize it for your own investigatory reasons, you might find out some very useful information, such as militaries typing in the Google search engine box, or whatever search engine box you prefer. Military psychological warfare tactics. What are those? And they will possibly, you can even use Chat GPT, which is something someone in the military, well, was in the military, but someone in government recently put me on to. Okay. Which This is one of the highlights of our information technological age, and how you can utilize it in a positive way. Then that would get you informed and educated before making an assumption or a judgment call or a decision on someone who is voicing, saying, hey, this is what's happening, and it's more to it than meets the eye, and it is not okay, and I've attempted to. This helps people with that knowledge, because what they say, knowledge is power. Well, knowledge is power could be misused, because that's exactly what these folks that are involved with this stuff is doing, misusing that knowledge. And taking advantage of the fact that the world is not that knowledgeable, or a mass majority who are not directly involved is not that knowledgeable about it. So the goal is the TIs, as I've mentioned to you all, the goal, they want them acting out so that they can call the cops, which in this case, it was still just kind of bogus. It's like, why are you worried and assuming? Because I could have swung it at you. Did I swing it at you? I could have. I could have stopped and waved it at you or whatever. Yeah, you see that? See, they don't like honoring their own bureaucracy technicality bullshit that they're always employing. I'm not doing anything. I just so happen to need to move in the movement as this person. I just so happen to be driving in zigzags and crisscrossing in front of them clearly when they're walking. I didn't really mean anything by that. I just, you see that? But that's what they did. I mean, I'm fine. They couldn't charge me, you know. It's because I didn't do nothing. Just like it ain't no law, listen, just like it ain't no law against them seeming to just so happen need to go to the places that we need to go. It ain't no law for us to walk around at 1:45 a.m. in the morning at night with a hammer. See, these people be nervous because they're dirty. Their hands are dirty. And they know their hands are dirty. They also be nervous because some of them, you know, it's the kind of conduct that they would do. If, you know, if tables were turned or if it were up to them, they would be busting out people's windshields. So what happens is they see somebody out with a hammer, it triggers them. Isn't that fascinating? It triggers their concern for their precious material, huh? Their precious materialism, their precious vehicles in which they sold their souls for. So since they know that they're purposefully doing something to a person, it causes people to be nervous, huh? But on a technicality, there's no law. Yeah, that's the game they play, so that's where I'm at. There's no law. There's no rule that says you can't do that. And, you know, as I've mentioned to some of y'all, I recently, over the last maybe 6 months, lost a lot of weight that I didn't anticipate on losing. For some of you who don't know. Okay, so I'm really maybe not all that happy with the fact that I have, because, you know, if you were not planning, if it wasn't your plan to get, then it's like, okay, that's not what I was trying to do. I was just trying to, you know, whoop-de-whoop. But it is what it is. I mean, that's the least of my concerns and problems, to be honest with you. But the whole point that I'm making is that, so a lot of the little clothes that I do have left that I haven't already given away and done away with or sold or whatever, a lot of them is ill-fitting. And, you know, once you have them on for 10 minutes, they start bagging, sagging on you, looking some kind of way. The point I'm making with this statement is chances are I'm about $1.40, $1.45 at best. Okay, I think I'm about I think I'm about 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in there. So what I'm finna do, the whole point I'm making, at 1:45 a.m. Now, it should make sense that such a woman that needs to get out, and I'm gonna say this, people's dangers are where they lay their head at, whether people want to believe that or not. And if they're being harassed, because like I said, they use my son to harass me by proxy because I won't deal with them. Because there are days where I'm a little bit more effective at ignoring their baiting tactics, ignoring their childish, primitive tactics to get some kind of response out of me, some kind of reaction. So yesterday it was noted that there was a lot of sights of me because I decided, you know, the sun was out, it was a beautiful day, and we talked about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Those of you who followed me on that particular live, on TikTok, I believe it was, where the bottom of the pyramid, it had basic needs, which included air, air, food, water, shelter, and you know, it's the premise of that needs to be healthy and safe and secure if one wants to be able to stabilize, if one wants to be able to actualize, which means grow, develop, and build. This is something that has been compromised. So I decided yesterday that I was going to focus a lot of attention, though it was a lot of spell work, and they basically did the noise making all day. Okay? When I say all day, I mean all day. Okay? I'm not exaggerating. I mean all day. Interims of 10 minutes here and there, because of course there was moments of silence, but it was nothing major for the most part all day. I simply kept frequencies going. I wouldn't feed into the ways in which, like I said, they do these spells, mind control and mental magic. Type in occult, not occult, like A is OCCULT, occult, okay? Type that in a search engine box or chat GPT. Type in occult ritual practices, spell work practices, energetic manipulation practices, and see what you get. See, before discrediting and dismissing things, it's intelligent to look into it. Type in secret cults, secret CULTS, or secret societies. Okay, type in that in ChatGPT or a search engine box. And look into it before dismissing something. As hogwash, conspiracist, all of that. Before going there, and see what you get, play with it. See what you might stumble across. Type in fusion centers. See what you might come across. Type in military MK Ultra. See what you come across. Because just because you were not a target, I almost wonder if there are some people jealous that they themselves were not a target, which is fascinating because who the hell would want to be signed up for some weirdo, torture program like you're some kind of lab rat? Like you're not objectifying to whatever hair, whatever they're on. Without any respect or regard to you as a being. Who the hell envies or covets such a thing? But when you have people that make statements like what's so special about you, kind of low key make you kind of wonder. Because that wouldn't be my response. Even if let's say I was not the target and I had somebody that's experiencing some things and they came to me and said that, I can tell you that wouldn't be my response. What makes you so special? Why would they target you? I would be listening even though I can't relate and I don't have a point of reference. I'd be like, wow, that's insane. Because I'm just open to the fact that there's so much more to this world and to this experience that means that I am not as arrogant as to believe that I just know everything that is going on in this world. So it calls into question. I think some of these people be, jealous because of whatever gift that they want to subject you to scientific, data for. How come they don't want to target me? Wow, that's jealousy on some whole nother 13,000 power shit. It's like, damn. You I'm getting this image from, there's this image that was going around on Facebook back in 2018 and 2019. There was this meme or this picture image going viral on social media. I saw it on Facebook and it was these people, the caption read something like, what it would look like if the Titanic happened, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So it was a picture of the Titanic, what looks like the Titanic, when it has started going down. And all of those people that were already in the water, and all of these people were in the water, they all had their iPhones and smart devices held up, recording it. Did you catch that? Motherfuckers is dying. And this is what the world became. I think the image and the premise was, this is what has happened. We're now just thirsty for drama. We're now capitalizing on drama so much so, to such a desensitizing magnitude that our own asses is dying, bitch. While we sit up here and record, look at us dying. You see us dying? Hashtag we dead. Hashtag we dead. Hashtag look how great we die. Hashtag. Hashtag look how sexy I look as I'm scared. As I'm dying. You see me dying, bitch? Let a bitch show you how to die. From Res Future, she was like, I'm gonna show them to make how a bitch go down a slide. This is this That image reminds me of, no, this is the society saying, let me show them how the bitch die. let me show them how the bitch drown, bitch. Look at me. Hashtag I am dead here at the Titanic. You see my angle? Let me show them how the bitch. And that's the world we live in now. Especially if you have people that are coveting what targeted individuals live every day, and making, grumbling under their breath, what's so special about them. The targeted individual ain't happy for that sign up. That ain't a program that they signed up for. And for, in the cases where this is small time, either way you want to flip it, this is not something they signed up for. This is illegal. They have not been charged with anything. Nobody has sought them out to ask them any questions to determine if they're a terrorist or not. To determine if their beliefs or whatever they are, if they are a real threat. So all of the activity is illegal. It's supposed to be used for real terrorist threats. That's the design. But then, as you can see, that's not how it's been used. A maze of psychological and physical warfare tactics. And that's what this is. They want to get the target in trouble, so they're trying to provoke is coercive control tactics, but it's also narcissistic abuse. Because what they're trying to do is hopefully to get the target to the breaking point of death, of sickness due to long and extreme exposure to trauma, so that they can get ward, of these individuals, ward of state, get them incarcerated, incapacitated, unalivened. That's the reason for it, so they can do more of their weirdo shit on them and have access to their shit. Could be why they have doctors on the premises right now. Yes, there are doctors on the premises, Building 7. They drive H2, I forget what they're called. Mm-hmm. And then when the TI starts to say anything, they're met with people like, why would they? It's gaslighting, more gaslighting. They lie to all the people that they hire, giving them some kind of fake found folder about who we are. Now, these individuals that are on the property of Delta Manor, They have occult practitioners, as well as those that are just simply surveillancers and reporters. They have voodoo, hoodoo practitioners that have been trained by former cults and secret societies, and have decided to makeshift fashion their own in Southeast Texas because it's easier to do things there. The whole premise and the goal was because when you're in the boondocks, it's with the hopes of being able to easily cover it up. When you have more power over the leadership than you do in a grander scale situation. They do it in the grander scale too, but it's easier to do if the leadership is a smaller number, and if you can get access to that leadership, then you're in good, yeah, you're in the money. So these former cult members hooked up with the corruption that's here. In the law, in management, in housing. That's what they did. And then they start banding together, I call it, the band of the exes. I had a reading that said hurt witches, which is kind of not altogether true. But in this case, it's a bunch of hurt witches that is a part of it, taking their things out on just so happened to be the targeted individual that just so happened to have something to do with an ex of theirs that just so happened to have hurt many. So whoever the man is just so happened to have hurt, you know what I'm saying? Not only did they hurt the target and have people to hurt the target, but it's situations where they ended up hurting or breaking the heart of many of these witches. And since they're not well witches, this was the perfect thing to become a part of. They then band together with the collectives, distorted relatives. That's usually the forerunners, the frontmen of the campaign, working directly with the corrupt authority, the corrupt government. So it kind of like it all gels for them. It's their driving force. And to be frank, because most of these people don't care nothing about the fake shit in which they're presented with folders and shit. They don't really care. They can care less because most of them are criminals themselves. They don't care. Some of them got a rap sheet long as the Empire State Building. They don't care. It's, I'm being offered a house. I'm being offered some Walmart gift cards. I'm being offered some Skittles. I'm being offered, and I get to get my hatred out. I get to vomit my hatred on this person. That's my motivation. I'm just not gonna say it because that ain't a good look. So it was the band of a bunch of exes that at some point shit went awire. And these are people who, they think they're pooping gold bricks. They don't believe they shit stink. So to have somebody not follow suit with whatever the original shit is a problem. They're up at it now doing spell work. The only reason why they're not making as much noise right now is because, well, they may be concentrating on another part of the spell. But not only that, they may be, strategizing just in case. They could be concerned just in case the noise making accidentally kind of get picked up on the mic here. Just in case, because I cut off everything. So everything is turned, you can't, it's just you hear my voice. But they're doing spell work on me right now. They're abusing the occult practice in my energy all day, every day, my son's energy, all day, every day. The things in which is visual is the direct result of these things that they've been doing. It is not the result of negligence. It is not the result of ineptness. It is not the result of a bad mother, bad parent. It's not the result that he's just too far gone. His energy is manipulated and hijacked and used. That's what that is. They're not taking into account. This is why they're in deep hot shit. People are gonna be in hot shit. The government, whoever else is approving of this shit. Not taking into account I don't think disabled people supposed to be, I don't think, but hell, neither am I, supposed to be put into these types of programs, but certainly not disabled people. So the world needs to know the disgusting things that's being allowed on individuals. While we want to look proud and call ourselves being proud and honorable and the world's greatest leaders. Anything that we're afraid of, because see, this is what I believe. I'm like, they're that good old fashioned, what you fear or what you can't control. And in some cases, that good old-fashioned entitlement. Ooh, let me probe you. I want your, ooh, when we do this, ooh, maybe we can, I would like to order some life force energy. I would like to order. Ooh, if we do this, let's see what we can make them do. Yeah, that's a world leader, huh? That's something to hold in high honor, huh? These things need to be used on the real threats in the U.S. We need to get that in check. Our dollars would be better served if we would focus on getting that taken care of. Good and plenty. Instead of terrorizing people like me and my son and giving people cars to do it and then say, oh, isn't America great? World leader. Saying stuff like, if you're afraid, why would you go outside? Those psychological words, those phrases are not useful, and we see through those phrases. Turning it onto the one that is being terrorized. As if they ain't seen no movie and city of that. Yeah, no. Block that. Mm-mm. So when you all hear of me making a decision to not wait and end these programs that he's in and take the money that he's got without notice and get out of the state, you know why. See, this is the very thing. Let me explain what this is too. Because if the targeted individual operate like that to the world, it looks like somebody that's unstable. It looks like somebody that's not making proper decisions. Why would you uproot their housing program that they have and leave and put you all in even greater hardship? Why would you do that? Why would you leave? Even though one of the officers that came early this morning that had pulled me over said, have you thought about leaving? Why won't you just leave? And that's on camera because they wear body cameras. Even he said, have you thought about leaving? And I said, oh, isn't that, I kind of smirked because I thought that was the funniest question ever. Because they make sure to compromise your life to where you don't have the resources to do that. When you do have the resources, they're trying to make it difficult for you to leave. It's something that they did back in 2024. When they know you have readily available resources to do so. They'll do some bureaucracy bullshit, some strategizing. Then when they think they've compromised you, then they'll all be saying, my relatives did that when they convinced me to move to Vegas, knowing that they were going to sabotage. And then saying stuff like, well, how come you just won't go back to California? Those type of statements, as if it ain't common knowledge of the fact that it costs money and lots of it. If y'all hear that, I'm going to continue to try to sell everything I can. But me and my son's health and well-being, we don't deserve what you're looking at this screen, this psychological warfare bullshit. And these weirdo occult practitioners with mental illness playing in our energy. With the vendetta behind some guy. Some of them, the vendetta is an ex. The vendetta is they can't take responsibility for some family loss, whether that was a breakup or an ending of a friendship or family dynamic or an actual death, that some of them knew what they were doing because a part of their hazing is they have to sacrifice somebody. That's a part of their hazing. And they can't tell anybody. And a part of it is they'll put that onto the target as well to get people to look at the target even more so as somebody of evilness. When they are the ones that are responsible for the death of their loved one. And in the cases where it's not like that, it's just they needed to deal with grief properly instead of blaming things on everybody else. This wouldn't have happened if this person never said nothing. No, this would have happened if folks went into the things that they were into for somebody to have to say something in the first place. So you all may hear that, I may uproot me and my son, take all the money he got, that he gets here in the next couple days, and say to hell with the bills, to hell with everything here. Get him on the bus, go find us a weekly somewhere and figure it out from there, just come what may. Because at this point, I don't know what's to come. I'm going to contact some resources today and see. I've been given a list of information and stuff to see what they tell me and how they could assist. But, you know, because at this point, I don't know what's to come of my son's health and well-being. And I'm not okay with leaving that in the hands of chance. I'm not okay with waiting for people to get liquid courage to do what needs to be done to put this shit to an end. I'm not okay with leaning or banking on people. People have already proven that they don't really have what it takes to be decent humans. People have already proven that they're more scared of these narcissists, these bullying baby mamas and baby daddies, and all of the, people have already proven that they're more concerned about money, that the money that they stole and somebody finding out that they stole it, and worrying about trying to stay out of jail because they know that they did. That's what humans' focus is. So I'm not okay with just trusting the judicial system. Yeah, somebody's going to say, file your RICO complaint. I may very well do that. But I'm telling you all, I can go do this today. Today is Monday. I can go and file online or something, could submit it today, and then they give you, you know, how the people that you're filing against, they have to get served as well. I can go do that today. And I might do it this week because of how this thing is escalating. But that's not going to stop anything, because if the corruption is to this degree, then that's not really going to stop anything. That's certainly not going to stop the distorted occult practitioners on the property, because again, they deny it. These are liars. These are pathological liars. What, unless somebody get a warrant to go through their house before they can hide all their shit? So I'm putting this out there in advance so that if you get wind of, if any of y'all watching out there, you get wind if that's what happened, and then you don't see or hear me or my son on camera for like 3 days, that's why. We got a bus ticket, decided to take every ounce of the money we got to get the hell out of Dodge, to get into California, or back to the West Coast, landed ourselves in a weekly, because that's, chances are that's something I might have to do to start, because sometimes you can find, depending, I have to look into that, you have to find weeklies, and from there, you know, pay for a week, get an initial week paid, and figure it all out from there. Is that total chaos? Is that total inconvenience? It is. But at least we won't be subjecting, I won't be subjected to, and he won't be subject to this shit the same way. They'll have to basically, because what happens is they have to basically get a whole nother shit started up wherever you land, kind of deal. Especially if you cross the water, you know, you cross the water, go to another state or whatever. Just moving like down the street ain't gonna do much of shit, you know, because they can just, The one thing I will say, I was advised, and I'll get back on the phone with them today. Like right now, my son is tired. He's still tired. This has drained him. And I'm not okay with the world being okay with it. I'm not okay with ill-apt people that lack skill, discernment, or knowledge with unuseful information. I'm not okay with the world being okay with what's happening. I'm not okay with the bureaucracy. I'm not okay with this whole, passing the baton around, going in circles. Well, I'm not okay with that. So if I have to resort to the extreme, I'm still going to make sure that everything is out of here. I'm going to make sure that they don't get shit. And I'm going to make sure that there's a curse on it. And I'm saying that on the occult side of things. I'm going to make sure that whoever comes on this apartment is a curse. For the conduct, all the torture that was conducted in it is to sit on the motherfucker who comes next. And when I say a curse, I'm talking about official curse that is being placed on it. Official workings. I'm not just talking about my incant. That's correct. Because that's a part of the payment I require. For using this property as a torture chamber, I require it's cursed. That no spiritualist will be able to remove. No prayer meeting or no saging and cleansing ritual will be able to change. For turning a blind eye, approving of such detestable behavior, and allowing the tenants and the residents of this property, amongst others, to conduct in this behavior, I require. This will be a part of it. Whoever come up in here, they're gonna be haunted. It's gonna be. Them things that they assigned here and all them little chants and meetings and bullshit that is saying raw. And it's come up the unlucky fella or unlucky chick who decided to live up in this bitch. Which may serve, especially if it ends up being a relative. Because that's going to be them eating every bit of what they did. The feet that treads this apartment. Right now, there's a running curse. I may have to look into seeing some, amendments and modifications. But there's a current one running. Those who come, the feet that step on these grounds with ill will and hidden dishonor towards my son or me. There's a curse running on it. And these things don't always manifest the way people think. It ain't like they always instantly put their foot on it and then they're dead. Like, no. It comes in the same form. It comes in forms fitting for them. and based on their involvement. And it creeps up on them. The same way they keep trying to create this shock factor, these towers for the collective. So this may be happening. I've asked if any of you all, I have a GoFundMe. I need to look into that. But this is why people tell us, well, yeah, you just need to get back to California. You don't say, Sherlock. You don't say. If they're fucking with your ability to be able to think clearly, you need to be able to sit and stabilize so that you can work a job. Remember Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? If they're creating sleep deprivation due to their rituals and their incessant noise making, and though the 3-day bus ride or however many days it would be to travel from here to get to the West Coast, to get to California, I think it's 3 days. It's going to be long and draining, but at least we won't be subjected to this nasty shit. But you all will know if that's what ends up happening, or if, one of these programs that I reach out to just, have something that they could assist with, like a temporary lateral move, in terms of just getting him out of this space. I may have to contact Housing Authority, letting them know, like, hey, I'm going to have to move him out this space without notice. And here is the whole laundry list and all of the documents and supporting evidence as to why. Before any of you judge, get educated. Learn about reactive abuse. Learn about coercive control tactics. Learn about these things before you call yourself making an evaluation. Know that corruption exists, and it's not even really hard to do with the technological age in which we have. Professional crooks and criminals are the best at manufacturing fake folders and files on people. Presenting half-truth, distorted, muddled information to get people to be willing to agree with their trashy program. When you see the TIs upset, before you get into this energy of, oh, they're just, oh my God, they're just a conspiracist, they're drama, they're volatile, they're just unhinged, they're just, no, they're being abused. And the world is just ignorant, or is just convenient to turn a blind eye because they rather it be them, the target, than them and theirs. And that's some of the truth of what's going on here as well.